Lana uzovala nini ubuyele ngakini? Can you answer me? Or I'm gonna get inside. Uzovala, when you gonna close? When you gonna close? When you gonna close? I know even your camera Lucky was here. You're hiding Lucky here. When you gonna close the shop? When you gonna go back to your home to sell here? When? Run answer. Huh? Sorry, bro. I'm talking with you. When you gonna go back? Where you from? Where you gonna go back? Where you from? Huh? When? Yeah. Sorry, bro. Talk to me. Talk to me. When you gonna go back home? Talk to me.
No, Jamana, say.
But you're gonna close. You like it or not? You're gonna close it.
When I made the video about Black Americans, I hear a lot of people saying that you cannot compare what is happening in South Africa to what is happening in America. Some people are looking for a lot of excuses to deflect. Immigrants living in a different society and how they relate to the citizens, to the people that host them in that society. That's what the comparison is about. This is from my personal observation as someone that has lived on both sides as an adult. You coming to tell me that Black Americans are not on the streets protesting. It is not because America does not have an immigration crisis. There is an immigration crisis in most countries actually in the world right now. The reason why the Black Americans are not marching against immigrants is because the difference between the Black Americans and the South Africans right now is that the South Africans are frustrated at feeling unheard by their own government. That's why they are going an extra mile, exercising their constitutional right to actually go out there and protest. Believe me, I have lived in America and I have seen Americans go out and protest as well. And I have seen violence emerge in those protests by Americans. I, as a South African, do not condone violence, right? I do not condone violence. We want protests that are peaceful. Have protests always been peaceful? No. Americans protest as well when they believe that their government is not responding to them as their democratic right. So the existence of protests here does not make South Africa illegitimate. And again, I do not condone violence. South Africans do not condone violence. Much and Much does not condone violence. Jacinta has said it a couple of times before even the June 30th march that she wants the marches to be very peaceful, but still discuss the root causes. We can do both. So condemning violence is non-negotiable. But the thing is, it's dishonest to pretend that there's no underlying grievances in this whole situation. South Africa enforcing immigration laws is not automatically a xenophobia. And calling any concerns of South Africans xenophobia shuts down any real discussion. Lives have been lost, both of South Africans and non-South Africans. Lives have been lost on both sides. I honor that pain. But the bigger problem also is that we do not talk about the South African lives that have been lost. Too often, the voices of South African families and lives that have been lost are barely heard. We don't talk about them. When we talk about accountability, all we're asking is for their stories and their pain to be heard fully and publicly, the same way that xenophobia is also loud. People act as if lives being lost on protests is something unique to South African protests. I live in America and I've seen lives being lost in protests here too. Most of those protests were peaceful, but there were also incidents of violence and even people losing their lives. But that did not erase the conversation around why people were protesting. But when it comes to South Africa, we want to hear everything else. We are not hearing the reason why South Africans are protesting. That is the least loud conversation coming from the very same people that are claiming to be victims. And that's what the problem is here. My whole point is listen, respect, and engage with the whole society that you live in. That's what the point is here. Even President Obama, a black president here in the United States, President Obama presided over large numbers of formal deportations. His interest was not at discriminating against people. His interest was at protecting the American citizens. That enforcement was debated, but it was not automatically reduced to hatred of foreigners. You did not call him xenophobic. So my question is, why is it that when South Africa raises concerns about illegal immigration, automatic thing is xenophobia? The other argument, guys, that sounds like lacking accountability and making excuses is people that keep coming and saying, oh, when we try to get involved as foreign nationals who live in South Africa, when we try to get involved, we are told, oh, you are not South African, stay out of it. I've lived in America myself and I've been told here that I am not Black American, I should go back home. Didn't you see even on this video that I posted yesterday, other people telling me that I am not Black American? Telling me that I'm not Black, I'm not American, and I'm not going to be invited to the cookout. But guess what? Those individuals, they do not automatically become America to me. And they do not become an excuse why I should not get involved when there's matters of injustice. Because it is the American government that opened the doors for me to be here, not an individual I encounter on social media or in the streets because they are projecting. So integration is not about pleasing every individual. It's about respecting the society you live in, even when some people reject you. I'm not rejected by all Black American people, and I don't take that personal. I respect the land that feeds me. That's just what it's about. I saw a lot of Americans that actually came on the comment section and they were like, you know what? We're not even asking you to help us. We're just asking you to respect us. You understand? I've made videos about silencing, which is like one of the biggest forms of abuse. You know, at the least, if you're not helping people fight for what is just and right, don't silence them. Don't minimize the reason why they are fighting. You understand? You cannot come into someone's land and not help them with anything, and then on top of that, minimize the things that they are fighting for only because you benefit from the silence of it all. The bigger conversation here is that a lot of you guys lack accountability. Many people are still applying to go do business and live in South Africa. The very South Africa that some people want to claim that it is a horrible place to live and people are unfriendly. When I talk about standing together with the people of the country when they are going through a lot, you're forgetting easily that this South Africa that is having an immigration crisis right now is the very South Africa that has housed immigrants since 1994. This wasn't even about South Africa, but at the end of the day, South Africa has hosted immigrants for decades. So right now that South Africa is wanting to enforce laws because we have a crisis, that should not be reduced to South Africans are hostile. No.
So Jacinta wants her followers to print out all the whole insult Black foreigners dished out to Black South Africans during this whole back and forth. She wants them to print it out so that she can present it as evidence to justify their xenophobic action. Fair enough. But you need to print out your own part. You know the part I'm talking about? The part where Black South Africans were calling immigrants Zai Zai, Kwere Kwere. You need to print that out too. Zai Zai, Kwere Kwere. That's a slur. You need to print that out. You also need to print out the videos where Black South Africans are beating up foreigners in the middle of the street. You need to print that out too. The last and not the very last but not the least, you need to print out the looting. Like, you need to print out the videos of the looting every day on a daily basis. Foreigner shops are being looted by Black South Africans, and for some reason you haven't spoke about it. You haven't condemned it. You have not distanced yourself from it. For some reason, I think you need to print that out too, so that you can present it as evidence to justify your action. He who comes to equity must come with clean hands, but your hands are not clean, unfortunately. Jacinta, your hands are not clean. You are fighting a good cause with a bad intention. You are an evil person.